Welcome back to the Two Red Cents podcast, where we have commentaries in rigorous fashion. Today, we're going to talk about the bundle of trailers that have come out recently. And they've come out at exactly the right time for us, for Miss Sarah and I, because I'm a comic book guy and she's a horror buff. So we got two interesting trailers on the one side and two interesting trailers on the other side. So I'm going to default to her expertise on two of the trailers, and she will tell you what they are, while she defaults to my dumbass opinions on the two other trailers, which are going to be, of course, Superman and the Fantastic Four, which I have not seen the trailer for Fantastic Four. Full disclosure, I did watch the Superman trailer once, and I'm going to watch it again with her, and we will...
I have not seen it.
She has not seen it. She's going in fresh.
I'm going in clean.
So we will...
clean.
Obviously, we won't be able to broadcast that over the tubes of you, because Warner Brothers are very sensitive to that kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to watch them, or we're going to watch the first one in our lineup, which is going to be, of course, if you don't know, it's directed by James Gunn. It's directed by James Gunn. You know, it's James Gunn. If you didn't know that, it's James Gunn.
Who?
You know, it's some guy.
James Pew Pew?
Yeah. James Pew Pew.
Pew Pew.
Cousin to Florence Pugh.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. But we are going to watch James Gunn's Superman trailer right now, to the kickoff to the DC universe, and we will come back and give you our thoughts. Thank you very much. All right, so we're back. We just watched the Superman trailer again. This is the second time I watched it. Now, admittedly, I watched it on my phone the first time, and it was on lunch break at work. So, needless to say, I wasn't in the greatest mood. I was kind of tired, but anyway, the thing that I had told Sarah the other day when I saw it is that every Superman trailer, from Man of Steel to the Christopher Reeves, even though, I wasn't even born when that came out, but still just watching the trailer, everyone had given me chills up until this one. But after rewatching it again on a bigger screen, it actually did give me chills. It really did. I know that sounds weird to admit, but it did. Because Superman's not even my favorite comic book character. Like, he might be in the top 10. But it's just that, to me, he's such a difficult character to get right that if they even get close, I'm kind of proud of it. You know what I mean? But before I get into my thoughts, because obviously I'm the fucking comic geek here, and I'm going to be rambling on every little detail, because there was a lot to digest. Let's hear from the newbie thoughts about this trailer. Not that you're new to comics, but
I'm not new to the comics, but I would definitely say that you are far more into the comic realm than I am. But no, I do think that it looks really good. I would definitely be interested in watching it. I like that they have a dog in it. I wish that it wasn't CGI though. Like, I kind of miss the
I don't think it's CGI. Krypto looks real to me.
Is he not CGI?
He looks real to me.
I don't know. There are parts. I mean, obviously there's parts
when he
like
jumped
CGI,
through the air or whatever.
But I guess maybe because I saw that first, that was like kind of the first glimpse of him.
Yeah.
That it just looked a little bit more CGI.
No, I'm sure a lot of that's live.
I really miss the old Milo and Otis days when they used real animals for movies.
Yeah, no, I think he is real in most of the film.
Most of it, okay. Well,
but when he's doing
he's a cute dog.
When he's doing crypto dog stuff, and obviously,
yeah, he can't do those things in real life. What?
Now in the comic, he's actually more of like a lab. He kind of looks like our dog Alfred, but he's white. He's all white. But I like the scruffy Mutt. He's very cute.
I love the Mutts.
They're gonna sell a shit ton of plushies.
Oh yeah.
Hell, I might buy one, to be honest. I like him.
He'll be cute.
He'll
be super popular. There's no doubt about that. honestly, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more images of him as Clark, though. It didn't really show much. There was like one little snippet, and it wasn't even him. It was just kind of him, like in the background with a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah, it looked like that. Like they were hinting towards. I'm thinking that was Jimmy Olsen, and he like hit him in the leg with a clipboard, and Clark was like, "Ow," because he's trying to be weak Clark or whatever. Obviously, he is Clark and Superman when he's talking to Lois because it's already been established that she knows he's Superman.
Yes, I was going to say it's very clear that she knows who he is. Yes.
So yeah, it's funny that you say that because that other people have mentioned that too.
Oh, have they?
Clark thing,
yeah. It's just kind of hard because you're supposed to be invested in both. It's like you are supposed to be invested in who their alter ego is, or it's like same thing like Batman with Bruce Wayne. You want to know about who the other person is that they are in their everyday life, and I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but I think it looks really good.
Good. Any other thoughts?
I'm sure I'll think of them as you're talking.
Well, yeah. Like, okay, so there's a lot to digest in the trailer, obviously. I appreciate, obviously, that they're using the John Williams score from the Christopher Reeves film. Although, I mean, they also kind of did, if memory serves, I don't know, because I haven't seen this movie in forever, because honestly, it's really not that good. But I think they did that in Superman Returns, actually. It's sort of nostalgia bait, though.
Score.
Yeah. Because that is Christopher Reeves.
It is.
Thing,
it is.
You know what I mean? And no one's going to stand up to Christopher Reeves. It is what it is.
I mean, you could at least, like, vanilla ice it.
yeah.
Add a little.
No, there's a ting. It's not the same.
It's not the same. I mean,
Well, they kind of did, though, because it sounds sort of like... I don't want to say electronic. It just doesn't sound as well produced. Now, of course, I mean, I'm hearing this on like laptop speakers.
Right.
So maybe I should reevaluate that with some good headphones. I don't know. It just doesn't, something about it sounded a little off, but it's streaming to, whatever.
Right.
I'm sure it'll be fine in the theater. Put it this way. Overall, I know I'm working backwards here. This is the only movie that I actually really care about seeing in the theater this year. Where I'm like, I'm going to see that.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was interesting that they started off with the interview, between he and Lois. When I first saw the trailer, my buddy, who was like a big comic book guy, he had texted me. He was like, "Have you seen the Superman trailer yet?" And he just so happened to text me on lunch, and I was like, "No, I was actually getting ready to watch it." And so I did. And then we started having a discussion about it. And my first thing that I was off put was like, why is Superman like being so pissy and emotional? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, before I get to that, I did like that when she started the recorder and was like Superman, his voice changed. He was very Superman-like.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I like the look. I mean, of him as an actor.
I
do
as
like
well.
Superman,
He does.
He
does.
Especially when he kind of sat up in the chair and was like, okay, I'm Superman now, right? Because that's what people get wrong about. I don't want to say people, but I understand the Kill Bill critique. Clark is actually his critique about but to be honest though, I mean, yes, it was well written, but people still tout that to this day like it's some brilliant line, but it's actually stupid if you think about it. Clark was a baby when he came here. The only thing he knows is human culture.
I know.
He's not like a Kryptonian act like he doesn't know what a Kryptonian is.
He was born and raised to appear human so that nobody would ever suspect anything.
Right.
I was going to say it. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
The actor that they have playing, I'm guessing is that Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
What is his name? I can't think of his name.
I don't know his name, but I've seen him in a lot of things.
I have too. I'm interested to see him play that role.
I was a little off-put by it myself because I actually really, really enjoyed Kevin Costner's performance.
Yes.
And Diane Lane's, as a matter of fact. I thought they were great in Man of Steel. And if anybody that knows me knows how I feel about Man of Steel, and I've been saying it since 2013 when it came out. I love that film. I don't love all the Snyderverse stuff. I'm not a Snyder bro, but I do love that film.
Yes.
Like it to me, it is one of the best, if not the best, superhero film of all time. Like, it was hard for me to get that out because I don't want to get shot. But no, I mean, I have my own personal reasons for it. Whatever. Yes, but there was something endearing about him, obviously being a little older, a little more weaker. I'm almost thinking, and I don't know, this is just a theory, but I noticed in the background that unless they're somewhere else, that the farmhouse isn't there. It's actually a trailer. But the shot before that, you do see a farmhouse. So
yes.
I'm almost wondering if like they've lost everything or something. They've lost the farm,
maybe,
or something.
Maybe,
and that's why he seems so kind of down or whatever. I don't know. He just seemed Paul Kent just seemed kind of.
What is his name?
I don't know. Ben? I don't know his name.
No, but it's not Uncle Ben. What's the character's name?
Paul Kent. Jonathan Kent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Kent.
I said Uncle Ben because.
I thought you were asking me about the actor.
Yes, I was asking about the actor, and I was like, whoever's playing, like, what's his name? Uncle Ben. I was thinking Spider-Man because we watched Spider-Man the other night. Sorry. I had to correct myself there. Like, that's not Uncle Ben.
No, how dare you?
Better.
He was great in that. People say that's corny now, but the way he looks at Peter with great power comes great responsibility. I'm like, man, that's classic Spider-Man. But
right, so yeah, that's why that was on my mind. But yeah, I can't think of his name. I know that I've seen him in several movies. One of them, he was really, really creepy. Like, I think he was like a rapist or something. And so it's always been.
Was he in? No, never mind. I don't know. We'll have to look that up later because honestly, I don't want to go off the rails about.
Yes, sorry.
That
trailer.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I thought he was, like all pissy. I'm like, why is he getting this upset? But then, if you think about it, he and Lois had already been in a relationship for a while. It almost seems like, because she's super ace reporter, that he's not pissed about, like, he's pissed at her. It almost seems like a domestic argument that she's like,
she's trying to bait him.
Yeah, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do this to me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to do good, and it seems more like that.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of this, which may not be a good thing in the movie. Spoilers or whatever. Now, you know what? I'm not even going to do that because we're just talking about the trailer.
Just the trailer.
Anyway, it seemed more that he was pissed at her. Like, why would you fucking do this to me? Like, yeah. I'm doing you a favor, Lois.
Yeah.
And you're turning us around, and asking me these tough questions, and
yeah,
that kind of put me in a corner, basically. So it didn't seem sort of uncharacteristic of Superman to me, but at the same time, it seemed realistic in terms of them having a relationship, which is something that really hasn't been explored before.
Yeah.
So that might be kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe they will dive a little bit more into that in the movie.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to be honest, dude. I really like Nicholas Hoult as an actor who's playing Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sold on him being Luthor, though. I don't know what it is.
I don't know how I feel about that either.
His voice isn't quite right. Like, it needs to be a little more deep, a little more, a little more, I don't want to say menacing, but slow cadence, more intelligence. He seems a little too unhinged for my taste. Where Luthor, what I like about Lex Luthor is that he's like he's just kind of backed off. Like, dude, I'm already 3 steps ahead of you. It doesn't matter that you're a Kryptonian. Yes, internally he's jealous and raging, but his exterior is always like the complete opposite of what Jesse Eisenberg was.
Yeah.
But, his exterior is always like how Clancy Brown was in the animated series or it's just, or even how I'm sorry, I can't remember the actor's name, but in Lois and Clark, do you remember that series? The Lex
Yeah.
Luthor, and that was always like sort of smarmy and just like, well, what are you gonna do, Superman? You know, kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not 100% sold on him being pissed off, you know, and Superman, you know, it's just like, but you know, anyway, what else? What did you have any other thoughts? I mean, I've got more stuff, I guess, but I'm trying to do it in order now. I'm already going all over the place. What do you, anything you got?
No.
Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr. Fine. Yeah, whatever. I'm cool. I like Frank Grillo. If anybody out there has not seen The Purge 2, he's basically the Punisher in it. And other than the Ray Stevenson movie, he's pretty much the best Punisher you're going to see. That pretty much should have been a Punisher film. But he you know, he's fine. You only saw him for a glimpse. Yeah, Crypto, dude, I'm cool with Crypto. Like, I think it needs that. I think it makes the trailer and the movie appeal to a wider range.
It does.
And of course, you know, they're going to sell a bunch of merchandise from it, which they should. I mean, especially if this is kicking off the new version of the DC universe. So I'm definitely okay with that. Guy Gardner, yeah, I mean, he looks ridiculous. I don't really think Nathan Fillion was the right choice, but whatever. Mr. Terrific looks spot on. And he is this movie has two X-Men First Class actors, Nicholas Hoult, of course, being Hank McCoy Beast, and him being Darwin. So that's a funny little connection there. And he was great in that movie. And another thing, if you're people that, anybody that knows me, I absolutely love X-Men First Class. I know it's not MCU, but just in terms of comic book movies since 2008, it's actually one of my favorite comic book movies. I think it's excellent. But you know, let's talk about like the elephant in the room. What do you think about the suit, man?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not like overly invested in the suit.
See, that's interesting that you say it. Continue, because that's interesting.
I like that it's not like super flashy. I like that it's a bit more simplistic. I don't like when they always like the super shiny and all the like. Yeah.
In your opinion, how would you compare it to like the Henry Cavill suit from the Snyder version?
I don't know that I could tell you the difference if you were to give me just a bunch of pictures and like no header as to which suit is which.
You would know. They're totally different. They're completely different.
Like, is his like kind of shiny blue? No.
His is, of course, Snyderized, so it's dark. It's like dark blue,
That's
but it's very
form
fitting. Yeah. Like his muscles are ripping. And a lot of that was actually Henry Cavill.
Now.
You know?
I remember it now.
The S was somewhat stylized, but it was the more traditional S than it's on this suit, which apparently the reason they did this is because of a rights issue. I'm not exactly sure. That's what I've heard. That's why they didn't do the classic S. I mean, I like the fact that it's like a brighter blue.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like the undies. I like the outside.
I do too.
Undies.
I like that it's like more of like kind of a nod to older style.
Well, apparently James Gunn, this is what I've heard, James Gunn did not want to do the undies at all. And David Cornsweet, I think I'm saying his name right, Cornsweet, David Cornsweet actually suggested to him, he was like, no, we need to have them. And James Gunn was like, why the fuck do we need to have the stupid undies? And he was like, because it makes it to where kids feel more safe around Kal-El.
Yeah.
And James Gunn was like, damn, you're right, dude. And so that's cool.
Yeah.
If that's the truth. I mean, that's cool. You know? It makes him look, you know, less menacing. Because yes, I love Man of Steel and I love the costume and it all tied into the Kryptonian origins, the way they did that in that film. But I mean, he does look, you know, intimidating. You know, he's not the same Superman that we
grew up with. Right.
He's the more badass Superman, which I was all for at the time. And by the way, everybody else was too. Don't let him fool you. When that movie came out, and before it came out, everybody was, comic fans alike, were like, we want to see a badass Superman. We want Dragon Ball Z style fights. We want him to punch through buildings and shit. And then it happened, and they were all, this is too much. And I'm in the theater like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Oh, fuck, screw them people dying or whatever. You know? People seem to forget about every time they bring up the scene of him fighting Zod. You know, they say multiple things. Like they say, well, if he could just kill him, why didn't he do it sooner? Well, number one, Zod was kicking his ass. Zod is a trained freaking soldier, and he was kicking Kal-El's ass. You know, and number two, people seem to forget the world engine was already destroying everything. I mean, it ain't like Superman could just leave and be like, oh, well, we got to take the fight out to the Sahara Desert when the world engine is literally killing thousands at a time every time it goes.
Yeah.
Like, everybody seems to forget that. It's like, dude, he had to fucking fight him there, you know? Anyway, that's besides the point. I can go on for hours and hours about, you know, everybody being pissed off about the Snyderverse versus the Snyder Bros and all this. And again, like, I'm a super fan of that movie, but it's over. You know, the Snyderverse is done. Like, people just got to get over it. Overall, you know, I guess, did it make you want to see it?
Yes. Yes, it did. I felt excited for it.
That's cool. That's a glowing endorsement.
Yes.
And man, I mean, I've already gone on way too long. I was like, hey, this is going to be a short video where we just evaluate bundles of trailers, and this has already been going on for 22 minutes, and it could go on for about 22 more hours if I keep talking about Superman. My thoughts after watching it a second time: way better than the first teaser trailer.
Yes,
I'm excited. I like it. I've got some concerns, especially just because it's been let down so many times in the last 5 years with comic films. But overall, yes, I'm pretty excited. I like the fact that he punched a giant lizard in the fucking face.
Yes,
that was cool.
That was pretty cool.
I mean, that's the kind of shit I want to see. So, all right. Sorry, I randomly, ran off with
randomly
rambled.
Yes.
But that's what you get here on the commentaries.
Yes, random ramblings.
They are rigorous, and they are in some kind of fashion.
In a fashion. You dummy.
So now we're going to break it up, actually, in the middle of this. I was going to go straight to the Fantastic Four trailer, which I have not seen. But we'll just go, we'll ping pong this a little bit. So you being a horror fan, and me as well to a certain extent, but nowhere near as much as you and nowhere near as knowledgeable as you, which trailer would you like to watch in this little bundle?
My little bundle is going to be The Long Walk.
All right, let's watch The Long Walk, and we will be right back. All right, so we just watched the trailer for The Long Walk, which is obviously based on a Stephen King novel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you had read this, right?
Yeah, I read it. Oh gosh, maybe close to like 20 years ago. I can't remember when it came out, but yeah, I was in my mid 20s when I read it. And it was funny because when I read the book, it was like, man, this is so off from what Stephen King normally does. I actually really, really enjoyed it. That's why I always get confused and think that it's a Richard Bachman book because he pens Richard Bachman. But because it was so different, you know, it wasn't his typical, I'm going to Stephen King you to death about the baseball and, you know, the guy who made the baseball and what happened to the guy that made the baseball. Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to do that to you. It was just a little bit different. And it was watching this trailer, and I'm not going to give too much of a review, but I will say this because I actually want to hear your opinion first before I talk about it. I can't think of what was Squid Games, right? That was is that what it is? It was that, but like 20 something years ago, you know, but it was only in a book, and it just made me think of that. I was like, huh, you know, I hadn't even made that connection because it's been so long since I read it. I had no idea they were even going to make a movie about it. So I'll hear your opinion.
Well, no, I mean, I actually have not even watched Squid Game, but so many people are into it that I drew that comparison immediately. Oh, this is like a Squid Game or Hunger Games kind of
yeah,
deal,
that's
you know,
what I kept thinking was Hunger Games.
But I'll say this, like, no, I don't know anything about it, so I'm intrigued. I will say, just as a trailer review alone, the cinematography looks really good. So from a movie standpoint or a cinema standpoint, like, I'm interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the lighting looks good. The small amount of dialogue that we get between some of the characters probably is going to provide a pretty interesting relationship. But I've got some questions for you.
Uh-huh.
If you can remember, like you said, you read it a long time ago, but number one, is it a full novel or is it just a short story?
No, I'm pretty sure. I guess it would be a short story for him.
Yeah, so that's like 2 billion pages as opposed to like
right.
6.7 billion pages.
Yeah.
So, but it is an actual like self-contained novel that was released. Same title?
Yes.
The Long Walk? Okay.
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm intrigued. It looks interesting to me. Again, I'm not a Stephen King hater, there's some stuff that, and admittedly, I've only read like 2 of his books.
I'm a hater, but it's because I actually like his stuff and I see the potential in his stuff and I hate that he fucks up his own stuff. So I totally am a hater. I totally am a hater of him.
He's similar to the last trailer we watched that he gets in his own way.
Yeah.
Kind of like James Gunn does.
He does. He definitely does,
But yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot else I can say about it. The premise is very on the nose. The trailer, we know what we know it's about. We don't necessarily know the characters' motivations or why they're doing it. But so I would have 2 questions for this. One, what time period does this take place?
60s-ish, I believe.
Okay.
It's a time period piece. And it looks like, but I don't know because maybe they're updating it, but I don't think so. Even like the camera equipment that they were showing looked kind of dated.
Right.
But if I remember correctly, it was like in the 60s to like late 60s to 70s, kind of Vietnam-y type.
Well, the clothing, the vehicles they were using, and the weapons they were using would indicate that. The one thing that did not indicate that was off-putting to me is the motherfucker was like, "You're on candid camera," and that shit went around.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, I'm like, what is he doing here? Like, I did catch
fucking Kang.
I did catch that as well because I knew that it was a timepiece period or a timepiece.
So that threw me off a little bit.
That's why I was like, I don't know if they're trying to update it, and I was saying specifically the camera thing. That's what I was talking about. That.
So listen up.
So you caught that too.
If the producers of this movie or director or hear this podcast, you got time to change it. Do a reshoot.
Fix it. Fix it.
Because that doesn't make any sense unless he's a time traveler.
Hey, right.
But
or unless you're changing the time period of them and you're making it like a current thing.
It wouldn't appear that way.
I know. Maybe they're just using the imagery and making it updated. Yeah. I don't know. We haven't seen the movie.
Is the game, The Walk, is it voluntary? Yes. I mean, as voluntary as it can be. Obviously, they need the money, right? But, okay. So that was my second question. But anyway, go back where you're talking about with the time period.
No, so not necessarily with the time period, but just having read that book and really, really, like I said, that book had always stood out differently from some of his other ones. I think the only other one that kind of stood out separately was Bag of Bones. That one had really stood out differently because so many of his books are all samey.
But you mean just under the Stephen King moniker?
Yes.
Yeah. Because the Richard Bachman shit is way different. Like the Running Man.
And Desperation, right. And I mean, there's a lot of them, and they are completely different. Like you can see the similarities, but they're different. Yeah. They're different. It's like him somewhat not cock blocking himself or pen blocking himself or whatever. Stroke blocking, the keyboard strokes, but whatever. So I had actually seen this trailer the other night and had no idea that it was even a thing that was happening. So I was pretty interested immediately. Like, what the hell is this? So I rewatched it for the second time. I'm very, very interested and excited to see it. I don't think that it's going to get an immediate viewing or interaction, simply because I do think the trailer, which I personally love, very much caters to people who have read the book. Mm-hmm. I like that they did that.
Might be smart.
They didn't go all out and over the top. and try and make it to where it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the next big hit. You know how Hollywood likes to over dramatize and overproduce things. It was shit that I was like, I know what happens here. I like, you see little things if you read the book, you're like, oh shit, you know, you know what's coming up. The premise of the book is basically, like we said, a kind of a Squid Game, Hunger Game type thing where they're in the situation. They basically have to walk. This will be kind of spoilers going forward if you don't want the spoilers for it, but I mean, you're going to kind of see it in the trailer anyways if you watch the trailer. Yes, basically a group of young men get together and they walk until there's only one man left walking, and that is the winner of the walk. They basically, in the book, you know, it's pretty graphic. It's more of kind of a psychological thriller. They do very much go into the individual relationships of all of the men that are walking.
Yeah, ain't got much else to fucking do.
Exactly. So it is very much that. Like, you do get invested into every one of these characters, and you are going to have to watch them all die off and hope that it's not the one that you're invested in.
Yeah.
You know, and so I won't give any kind of spoilers or anything like that. I'm not going to. But yeah, so I mean, like, obviously, like I said, you can see that from the trailer. So I'm not spoiling anything as far as that goes. It's in the trailer. They're telling you you have to maintain a certain amount of speed. You can only stop for a certain amount of time. They're not allowed to like sleep. I think if I remember correctly in the book, I don't know that they're going to show this in the movie. It's not really a spoiler, but one of the guys, when he's walking, he has to take a shit, and you're only allowed so much time. And he's like frantically trying to take a shit before, I mean, and they're standing over him with a gun, like counting down like 5, 4, you know. So
if somebody had a gun on me and that kind of thing, I'd just fucking shit my pants and like kind of shake it out.
Pretty much.
Like I did when I was 3 years old in Kmart.
Yeah.
It actually happened. I shook out a poop and somebody ran over it with a cart. And I heard from the next aisle over. I was like 3 years old, right? Wearing my Oshkosh bagosh.
Yeah.
And it came out like a perfect little ball, man. And I just went, and it fell on the floor. And somebody was like, "What the hell?" Surprised they didn't get on the intercom and
clean up on aisle 4.
Attention, Kmart shoppers. But yeah. But one more question. And maybe I should ask this after the movie comes out. And if there's spoilers involved with this, I do not want to know. How come there aren't any women?
I don't remember. If I remember correctly, the book doesn't really necessarily go into it. It's just that it's something that the men have to do. I don't want to inadvertently, because again, it's been many years. I don't want to inadvertently speak of it, of what the premise is. Because like I said, I remember a lot of the details of it, but like that, it was kind of one of those, it wasn't a thing. It was just this is like men do this. It's a men thing.
Overall, I would say for me, I'm interested. It does look intriguing. And to be honest with you, other than the remake of It, which honestly, it's not really a remake because the original was like a TV miniseries. It wasn't an actual feature film. So if you think about it, the remake of It with Bill Skarsgård is the first It film,
theatrical release. You know? Yeah.
But other than that, there hasn't been we haven't heard from Stephen King in a long time. So I'm actually kind of excited because we've gotten to this era where, everything's it's either watered down or it's too extreme or it's tropey or, like we watched, for example, and I know this is from last year, but we watched Late Night with the Devil the other night and it was okay. I thought the acting was really good in it.
Yeah.
But the overall story was just like, okay. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And as a horror fan, I mean, again, like I'm actually really interested in this because I'll ask you, from that, would you have thought of it as a horror movie?
This?
Yes.
The Long Walk?
Just from the trailer alone.
I guess I would say that it looks like a thriller. However, there are obviously going to be some very horrific and dark moments in it, especially the one shot of the dude's broken foot, and he has to continue walking.
Yep.
Like, so I would say for me, it looks like a horror film because like, there's obviously going to be horrific things that continuously happen and won't, and I could be wrong, but and will be pretty relentless on the viewer until whatever conclusion it comes to. You know what I mean? So for me, those are kind of horrific films.
They are. Maybe it's like a Thor movie, a thriller horror, a Thor movie. I don't know. I'm just making up
Thor
words.
movie. Well, if it's Love and Thunder, it's definitely
I'm saying
a fucking
Thor
horror movie.
Instead of not Thor, but Thor, like thriller and horror.
That movie. Oh my god. Whatever.
I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm honestly hopeful that it's going to be kind of like when they did The Green Mile. They did it justice. They did do it justice, and it was a movie that I thought was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that. So I'm kind of hopeful that this is going to be another one where it's like, because a lot of Stephen King movies, when they've made adaptations of it, they've just been ridiculous. Yeah. Completely ridiculous, over the top. Yeah, like just stupid shit. So it's kind of like I'm slightly hopeful that it will be kind of, maybe this is another chance for him to get a decent movie that's somewhat novel accurate and for anybody who has read the book, it looks really interesting.
Good.
It looks really good.
That's good. Cool. Awesome. Moving right along, young ones, we are going to go into the next realm of fandom, and it is going to be, and I don't know because I haven't seen the trailer yet, but we're going to go into Fantastic Four with female Silver Surfer. And we will be right back. All right. Fantastic Four trailer reviewed from one comic fan to someone else. I'm going to go ahead and let you give your thoughts first on this one.
What is the saying? Shit garbage.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think shit garbage. I don't like the way that any of them look.
Okay. All right. Continue.
I think that there's what's his name? Is it Thing? And what's his name?
Who? Pedro Pascal?
No.
Johnny Storm?
No.
Thing?
Yes. Thing. As I said, Thing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Looks horrible.
Yeah,
it looks horrible.
CGI,
I know it looks like shit. It looks like shit garbage. Like I said, shit garbage. It looks like it looks horrible. And I'm not I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I did watch the first one or the original, the other ones with the Jessica Alba and whoever, all them in it.
Yeah, that would be the second.
Yeah,
I mean, sort of technically. Roger Corman did it.
But even it looked better than that.
Yeah, well, it's practical.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The CGI it's too much. I don't like it. It makes it look bad. Yeah, they're basically, it appears that they're just retelling that same movie, but they're trying to add in, there's a baby and Silver Surfer's a chick. That's about what I got from it. Family, yeah. Also, and every line that seemed to be delivered was just like this. I am acting.
Yeah, very leaning into the camera or whatnot.
That is us.
Okay.
We have to do this.
Man, no.
Sorry. Not a fan.
You're good. More harsh than I honestly, I thought I was going to be super harsh. So, yeah, that's your synopsis. Just not really interested.
Yeah, not interested. I mean, maybe if it comes out on I can watch it at home. I may give a, but I'll give it.
I don't know if I'm going to go to the theater.
No, I have no interest in going and spending money on it.
We're definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, I will watch it.
It says no. Yeah, so overall, you just ain't your bag. Ain't your bag, baby.
No.
Interesting. This is the first time I've seen this trailer. Number one, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan. I know a lot of comic guys are, and rightfully so. They're one of the originators for kicking off the Marvel Comics universe. They're extremely important to big events in the comics and all that kind of stuff. I get it. It's just, it's just, whatever. I don't have to justify my position on it. That being said, this trailer actually surprised me. There was a lot I actually liked about it.
Huh.
Believe it or not. And I thought I was going to hate it because I was so pissed about female fucking Silver Surfer, which I get it. She's in the comics. It's canon, right? Yeah, she was in the comics for like 3 issues or something.
Yeah.
It was a one-off thing. Silver Surfer's been around since the fucking 60s. There's a lot of Silver Surfer stories, but it's not Norrin Radd.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for ever since Fantastic Four 2 Rise of the Silver Surfer pre-MCU. I've been waiting like, where's Silver Surfer? Where's Silver Surfer? Y'all got the rights back. I believe those were Fox Productions. They got the rights back a long time ago. I'm like, where the fuck is Norrin Radd, dude?
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck is he not in Infinity War? Why, he was a major part of the Starlin run. Anyway, I can go on forever with that. It just pissed me off. I love Silver Surfer. He's one of my favorite characters. So I was like initially biased and still am towards the movie. That's not going to change. But this trailer actually impressed me a little bit. I like the 60s setting.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I'm tired of hell for the multiverse of bullshit, but
yes,
it kind of makes sense for Fantastic Four, and hopefully they'll go from here. I did like that aspect. Going back to what you said about being grim, the Thing, yes, I'm not into the CGI, period. And his voice is way off.
It is weird.
It is way off. Like Michael Chiklis he sounded perfect.
Yes.
And then again, people say what they want about those movies, but there were very specific scenes that they're popcorn flicks, right? But there were times that Tim Story, the director, I'm not sure if he wrote it. I'd have to go look at that, but I've told you this in the past, but the scene where his fiance first sees him as Thing, and she takes off her wedding or engagement ring and throws it on the ground, and he can't pick it up because his fingers. That scene is gut wrenching.
It is. I do agree with that.
I'd still tear up just thinking about it. It's really sad.
It is.
And of course, Reed picks it up and he's like, "Hey man, we're family," kind of deal. He doesn't say that, but it's implied, and that was a very heartfelt moment. There's good moments in that. Him getting with Felicia, who's blind. It's good writing. I really, really liked Thing in those movies. No, he didn't look like the Thing from the comics. He was way too short. He didn't have the big brow. But other than that, he looked pretty damn good.
It was better than this, I would say.
Well, yeah, anything's better than CGI because, I'm over the CGI.
Bring back the Tom Savinis.
Stan Winston, Tom Savini, if I want to fucking watch a cartoon, I'll watch a cartoon.
Exactly.
But no,
you were pleasantly surprised?
I actually kind of was. I'm not going to say I'm excited, but I'm more excited than I was before.
You're more interested?
Yes.
You're not as fuck this movie?
Now, that being said, Pedro Pascal is still completely missed out.
Yeah.
He doesn't look right. Obviously he only delivered like 2 lines in this trailer, but every one of them is fucking dull. He doesn't sound.
I am acting.
He doesn't sound at all like how I would think Reed Richards would sound. He just, it's just.
There were so many other options. There's so many other options. I don't see why. I guess that was the only.
Well, this is the way they do
name
shit.
That they were trying to get in there or something. I don't know.
He's the little it boy. I don't get it. Definitely not for this role. He didn't sound intelligent. He doesn't have the demeanor of Reed. I don't like it. Now, again, like
kind of has a dumb look.
I just don't like him in anything except for the movie he was in with Nick Cage, the massive weight of undeniable talent or whatever it was called. I actually really did like him in that movie. He was good in that. Other than that, he's utterly forgettable. Vanessa Kirby, whatever. I actually don't know her from anything else. She looks enough like Sue Storm. I'm fine. Johnny, whatever. It's Johnny. I felt in the older films, the Fox films, I felt from what I know of the comics that Chris Evans did a good job portraying him. He is a little cocky son of a bitch. At times I felt it was a little too over the top. It was like he was kind of annoying, but maybe, I don't know. Fantastic Four fans can tell me, if that's how he is all the time.
If it was more comic book accurate.
He's better as Steve Rogers, which I would, believe it or not, I was against when I first heard him being cast as Steve Rogers. I was like, fuck no. Fucking this guy, fucking cream, put cream on my nipples to, that guy, and I understand that was a parody movie, but whatever. He just.
Yeah, I don't really care for him one way or another.
Now, obviously, you know how I feel about female Silver Surfer, so I'm not even going into it. I don't care. Other than what the delivery or her delivery and her line, "Your planet has been selected," or whatever the fuck she said, was utterly forgettable.
Yeah.
And she had nowhere near the impact
of
even the trailer.
Protectors I am acting of this earth.
Yeah, it's whatever. I just don't care. I'm just over that. And it was definitely nowhere near as good as Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer trailer, where it actually, I think I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. In the original trailers for those movies, Doug Jones did the voice of Norrin Radd, and he was like, "All that you know is at an end." And it just sounded really cool. It had a lot of gravitas because Doug Jones did the mocap. Now, if you don't know Doug Jones out there, listeners, he's got a long career of being a mocap actor as well as being in many different movies, usually under costume. He's a very tall, slender guy. You might know him best, comic fans, as Abe Sapien in the Hellboy films. But he had the right voice for Norrin Radd. Now, they screwed him, and they replaced him with Lawrence Fishburne. And from what I understand, he didn't even know about it, and I think it was a huge mistake.
I think so, too.
I mean, Lawrence Fishburne was all right, but it was like, it wasn't as good as Doug Jones. So whatever. That's all I'm going to say about the Silver Surfer shit, because I'm still pissed about it. I mean, last thing I'll say about it is that it was kind of nice to see a physical form of Galactus, because I don't want to see the fucking fart cloud shit anymore. There was a trend going on back then where Galactus was a big fart cloud, or Parallax and Green Lantern was a big fart cloud, and there was a couple others, right? It's just like, dude, come on, man. I guess maybe they ran out of money. I don't think so. I think they were just an idiot.
Make it a fart cloud.
Now, that being said, seeing Galactus, seeing his fucking feet walk through a city street, I mean, I gave you a sense of scale, but it's utterly stupid, because, like, if a being that is bigger than the fucking earth, basically,
right,
stepped on the street, I'm pretty sure it would go right through. You know what I mean? I know it's weird to argue realism in a movie where Pedro Pascal stretches out and his stuff and everything. And maybe this is supposed to be a joke later on in the movie, but like Johnny coming up, after he gives Sue a hug, he was like, "Oh," because she said, "We're having a baby," and then he makes some stupid joke about Reed not being able to perform. That's stupid too, because Reed can actually stretch his body, so he could. I'm sure he could do whatever Sue requires in the bedroom.
Right.
But that being said, I did get a sense of family. I did. And that is what the Fantastic Four is about. It's about family. And I got that sense. I didn't really necessarily get the sense that Sue is going to be complete girl boss. Maybe a little bit. We'll see. Which Sue Storm's a very powerful character in terms of her powers. So as long as they don't make that too tropey and focus completely on Sue, I'm okay with her sort of being the most powerful and kind of the voice of reason within, keeping the fucking family together.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, let's be honest, that would be the role for most women in general.
I mean, if they're sane, I guess.
Right. I mean,
women are just people.
I know, but
yeah,
you have more nurturing
I know what you're
characters.
I know what you're saying, and you're probably right about that in terms of if she's cool, she's probably gonna be like, "Hey, dude, we got to keep shit together," because they, you're obviously more adept at nurturing and that kind of thing, right? So I agree with that. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I wasn't completely like this is gonna fucking suck. And that's what I was thinking before watching this trailer. Like I'm a little more interested in it because it doesn't seem to. One thing I liked about this trailer is it's not the typical MCU trailer. There wasn't the little quips, the little fucking Joss Whedon type quips, or like I'm so over that shit. It's just trope the fuck out. So this looks somewhat unique within the confines of the MCU, and that I'm not going to use the word hope, but that's given me a little bit of interest that I might watch it. I'm just going to close my eyes.
You're
every
slightly
time
intrigued.
Fucking female server is on the screen because I don't want to
get
mad and like burn something down. But anyway, so that's how I feel about that. We got one more coming up. We're moving on to the next trailer, which is going to be a film series that I never thought that I would even remotely be into. And I have really enjoyed every one. It's actually become one of my favorite horror franchises of all time, outside of like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of thing. And that is the Conjuring series and its subsequent spinoff. So, I didn't even know this was a thing. And apparently there is one more on the docket called The Conjuring Last Rites. Okay, so again, I really like those movies, and it's primarily because of the performances between Patrick Wilson and Vima Farmiga. How do you say it? Vera Farmiga?
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's Vera Farmiga.
Farmiga.
We'll go with that. Yeah, I've always just loved their dynamic, and
they do play off. They do play off of each other very well. I agree with that.
And I mean, admittedly, I like both of them as actors in pretty much everything I've seen them in. I mean, Patrick Wilson was really good in Watchmen, and he's been in, of course, in a ton of different things. As far as what I saw in the trailer, where it stands in the I guess it's a quadrilogy at this point, as far as just the Conjuring series, if you exclude Annabelle and the Nun.
Yeah.
It seems like obviously it seems like they're going back to somewhat, at least they tease, they're going back to the origins of kind of Annabelle, like with the doll shit and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. It's cool.
I don't think that they are.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to be Annabelle, but they're putting.
They do show it.
It almost seems. It seems
they like to show the Annabelle.
Well, I mean, I didn't see Annabelle in the trailer. There was the one doll that sat up. What I'm saying is that it seemed like
when I said the toys are not toys, that's when it zoomed in close to her in the cabinet.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like a callback, like to, hey, you're into this series. Well, we're going to remind you of some of the things, some of the reasons you're into this series, which I'm fine with. Especially from a marketing perspective, is a smart thing to do. I will say, and this is going to sound weird because obviously it's a horror film. And it could be different watching it on a bigger screen. It looked a little too dark to me in terms of the cinematography. It was hard to see certain things, which obviously you don't want a horror movie to be bright, but
there is a balance.
Now, as far as the creepy factor of it and making me interested and intrigued in the story, I definitely was. It seems pretty creepy, and it doesn't look like they've changed the format, which is a really good thing in terms of how it's shot. It doesn't seem like they've changed the format in terms of their interactions.
Yeah.
So it's consistent, which I'm very, very pleased with. Now, what I will say, and maybe, because it's not coming out until September 5th, so they've got plenty of time, and there'll probably be another trailer. And this is just a personal preference of mine. It's not a criticism. But where the fuck is the tall man, dude? Like, I want
the Crooked
to see
Man. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it's the Crooked Man. That's exactly what I was going to say, because when I don't very often follow the news of the stuff that I'm into. I know that we've talked about this before, because I don't want like spoilers. And sometimes, like with The Long Walk, I'm just surprised. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. That actually looks really cool. Like, I don't try and follow things, but I had read multiple times that they were going to be making a Crooked Man movie. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Maybe it will be a part of this one. I was hoping to see one that had a little bit more involvement with him. From the trailer, it feels a little disjointed. Like, are they talking about a specific case, or are they just, like you said, kind of like wrapping up a lot of the things that they've already done? You know, it's like, I'm having a hard time of actually grasping what the movie is going to be about.
Well, the fact that you're asking that question means that the trailer did exactly what it was supposed to do.
It intrigued you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what about this? What
exactly.
About this?
Yeah.
Now, for me, obviously, this is just a fan thing, but is it the Crooked Man? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
in
the Crooked
series?
Man.
I mean, it's a version of the Hat Man or the Tall Man, right?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Street lore or whatever.
Yeah.
Or what's it called? Not street lore. You know what I'm talking about.
Urban legend.
Urban legend, yeah. And obviously, in those films where where you saw him manifest, it wasn't. That's just a visual personification of the demon, right?
Yes.
It's not like the Crooked Man is not a separate character.
Because it does show a little glimpse of the Crooked Man lamp, like the little
lamp. I didn't.
I think you were trying to see who the director was. That's when you missed. It was like showing the things that they had already captured. And that's why it had the Annabelle doll. They did the close-up zoom of Annabelle and her cabinet, and then it kind of panned across the shelves and it showed like a close-up of the Crooked Man.
Yeah, so they were kind of
recapping. Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't know if they're just trying to like recap things or I mean, I'm definitely interested in it because I haven't been let down with any of them.
I don't really care about reoccurring like manifestations, whether it's Annabelle or the Crooked Man or the nun or anything like that, because it's obviously it's a demon, right? And then that at the end of the trailer, that was obviously portrayed because the demon is speaking to
their daughter.
No, I think really it was their daughter. I thought they were speaking to Lorraine. And going, we've waited so patiently for you.
They had, but wasn't that her daughter that was saying that?
I thought that was
like the demon, like that was like trying to possess her daughter.
I didn't catch that. I thought it was just like in the blackness or whatever.
Yeah, that's why she was, because they had come for her before. Do you remember? Like in one of the ones where like I think it was the last one, not the one that they did where they were in England. It was the one prior to that, and like they ripped off her necklace. The mom under the house or whatever, like ripped off her necklace, and the demon went home with them to her daughter when she was like 7 or 8 years old, and she's an adult now in this movie.
Okay, well, I'm certainly interested to see how that plays out, because obviously and I think they've done this really well, actually. A theme of the entire series with Lorraine is that she has a lot of struggles because she is connected to that world,
right?
And she pisses the demons off basically because she's and they're but at the same time they could, because she has that quote unquote power, they could possibly use her or that kind of thing. So it's an interesting aspect. I don't know if it'll come to a conclusion as far as story wise in this. I didn't really get an indication of that.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if it did.
If they're gonna make it the last one, then I think that they should just make it the last one, and I'm cool with that. If they want to like wrap it up, like if they're not, if the actors are to get to the point that they're like, that it's kind of fizzling, we'll do the one last one. Like I'm all for that. You don't have to keep beating a dead horse.
I think about it though. I mean, as far as them being the lead, her and Patrick Wilson both, I can't really think of any other movies where they were the lead. So. They're getting a little up there in age, so maybe they don't want, maybe they don't want to do it forever, or maybe they're getting bored with it as actors or whatever it is. But as long as these movies keep making money, I could see them
continue. Well, and there's a lot of stories for Ed and Lorraine, because I had actually been a fan of their books and read many of their books. I don't even more than 20 plus years ago. Like I've read them.
You and your 20-year-old reading habits.
Well, yeah, like I've always read, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't even know they existed until
Yeah.
I watched the first Conjuring film, which I'm sure a lot of people did, which, you know, and obviously everyone can have their own opinions on it. I mean, there's been some controversial things between you and I personally when we've gone back and like watched them in interviews. So I'm like, I don't know about this, you know. But we're not talking about real life. We're talking about the Conjuring series, and I absolutely love the Conjuring series.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it, and the trailer.
What was the last one that they did? It was Devil on Trial.
Yeah, I think that was the subtitle of it.
Yeah, I think that was, or something like that.
Yeah, which was, I mean, I do remember that deal was a true story. I mean,
all of their investigations were.
Well, the first one was like Amityville,
which was an actual house that they investigated. That was a true case. That was a true crime that happened. That's what that's one of the reasons that I got into them, because I was always into true crime and stuff like that, and always into horror, and found one of their books randomly at a Barnes and Noble back in the day. Just go and get some coffee, or I think it may have been a Borders, actually. Yeah, it was Borders. I didn't go to Barnes and Noble very often. They were a little too hoity-toity. Yeah. Borders had the better coffee.
Well, they also had art supplies, so I used to go there too.
Yep.
Definitely. No, I mean, overall, I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. I definitely want to see it. We recently, I think recently we ordered the entire series on physical, and that would definitely be another one that I'm going to add to it.
Yeah.
By the way, ladies and gents, and girls and boys of all ages, you honestly, man, you got to get physical if it's something you're into, because they are censoring things, they are taking things out constantly on streaming. It's not preserved in its original artistic integrity, and you need to get physical. And plus, it's just cool.
Physical.
Yep.
Physical.
Yes, we have a physical.
No, sorry.
Shit, dude, we don't have a physical copy of Grease 2. Damn it, we need to get one. And I know
or is it Grease 1 that we don't have?
No, I think we have Grease 1. I think you had it. And obviously, I know that, you know, it's not Olivia Newton-John in the second. It's Michelle Pfeiffer, which is a superior film, by the way.
It is.
It's in all pretty much every way. Grease 2 forever. Like, it's way better. Yes. That's going to get us some downvotes. But it's fucking true, man. The songs are fucking better. Like, anyway.
I got your pistol right here, baby.
Well, we'll have to do a whole nother fucking video about Grease 1 versus Grease 2.
We'll do a review of
I mean, they're both good. Don't get me wrong. You know? And you know, I'm going to be honest. The Frankie Valli song is kind of catchy, man, in the first one. You know, but,
this is the word that you heard. It's got groove, it's got me.
But it is catchy as fucking Cool Rider, man. I mean, that's like an actual kick-ass song.
It is.
And Michelle Pfeiffer's like way cooler. Anyway, we're getting way off track now, and I could burn 10,000 bridges by doing this. And my little husky pup, who you can also see on this channel, Mr. Elrickson, is begging for my attention right now. He's like, Daddy, you got to stop with the talking because I need the loves. So we are going to have to retire from this video. But for everyone that has stayed so long to listen to us rant and commentate in rigorous fashion on all this kind of stuff, we really appreciate you doing it. And please feel free to leave comments below and, follow us on the things and, talk about it. Let's build a community.
Tell us what you want us to talk about.
Right on, right on. That is the Two Red Cents podcast for this episode. Signing off. Y'all stay strong and salute.
Stop doing yourself.